Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I wanted to share a new product that I have today for the Jeep.
Okay, let's go.
Let me tell you a little bit why I wanted this product. One thing right here, not a big deal, just a little scratch. If you go over to the other side of the Jeep, there is a nice crack in this mirror. So I figured it was time to replace the glass in this mirror. But I figured if I'm gonna be replacing this glass, might as well do a little bit of an upgrade. And I've seen some of the aftermarket mirrors, have some lights in there, and a lot of them look cheap. So let's go ahead and take a look at these mirrors. These are from Boost Auto, and they are available for Jeep Wranglers from 2007 up, and also for Gladiators. So let's go ahead and do a quick unboxing. Nice shirt. Now let's see what else is in this box. We've got multiple connections, wire harness, a couple different strands of wiring. We've been ducked by Boost Auto, keychain, another wiring harness. Now we get to see what is inside the box. Some nice new mirrors in here, very nicely packaged, nice and tight in there. Let's go ahead and pull these out and take a look at them. But first, let's take a sneak peek of them installed. Here is one of the mirrors. Got the wiring harness attached to it. Check that out. It's got the reverse lights here. It's got forward lights. And it also has an accent light turn signal switchback. Boost Auto. Let's get the other one pulled out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get ready to start installing these mirrors. But first I wanna go over a couple things. A couple things in the wiring you guys gotta pay attention to. But I also wanna take note, Boost Auto does have an installation video online, but I'm still gonna show you guys how I install this on my Jeep. It's gonna be a little bit different than what's on their video, but they still do have a good installation video online. So one thing to take note of, this is gonna be the main plug. That's gonna be the same plug for your mirror, your factory mirror. Depending on the year Jeep, this might either be one plug or it could be two plugs. So this short wire right here, there's gonna be two of them. They're gonna be identical. This is gonna be the piece that connects to the mirror wiring up under the door panel, and then the other end of it is going to be right by the kick panel. That way this will disconnect when you unplug your doors. This long wiring is going to be what plugs into this end here, and then you're going to route this to the front turn signals. You got to route that all the way up here to the turn signals. That way you can tap into the turn signals and the running lights. The reason you're going to tap into the front ones is because the back ones, those act as the brake lights also. So you don't want to activate the turn signals by tapping into the brake lights. One thing different with my Jeep is I already have both front turn signals running through the floorboard there. So that's where I'll be able to tap into mine. Yours, you would have to go to the front of the Jeep. They do explain that in this video, but that's not how I have to do it. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing to do is remove this door panel. Pry this little piece off. Then you can take your T25 Torx bit and unscrew this bolt. Two more bolts down here, 1 and 2. And then you can take a little pry tool, carefully remove this. Next, remove these two 8mm bolts. You can also use a Phillips head screwdriver. Next, remove the door handle trim. And now you can carefully remove the door panel starting from the bottom. It will sound quite aggressive. You can lift up on the door panel. And then be sure to unplug any wires that are attached. And now you can unplug the main wiring harness for the old mirror. Next, you're going to take a string and attach it to the old mirror plug. And you can start to push the old wiring harness into the door. Make sure you don't let the string get all the way inside the door, because you're going to use the string to pull back the new wiring harness for the new mirror. Now you can unbolt the mirror. Make sure you support the mirror on the outside when you're unscrewing it. And these are T40 Torx bolts. And then you can pull your mirror off. Carefully feed the wire through. And here's a little comparison of the old mirror versus the new mirror. And here's the view from the new mirror. The electric mirror adjustment works with these mirrors also. So with that bottom portion, you can see real wide. See those cars in your blind spot? Jeep mirrors are just too small. They come from the factory too small. I even had to add this little mirror on here so I could see better. Cannot wait to see how these mirrors perform and then how they look installed. So now we can grab the new mirror. I'm going to use this string to tie it on to the new harness of the new mirror. That way I can fish it through to the other side of the door. And then you gotta slowly feed it through. Shove this extra wire in here. Put one bolt in to hold the mirror on the door. And you can screw this mirror in the rest of the way. Now we can pull the wire to the inside of the door. Push one in a little bit further. You can spin this one to get them out. Untie your string. Save this for the other side. Now you can plug in your main harness. But before you do that, there's this little blue piece on the end of this plug. Don't mess up like I did. Make sure it's flush with this other side. So you take a little screwdriver and you push it in, and that locks everything in, and that'll allow you to lock this plug. Mine wasn't locked. Now I was forcing it in. And now it's time we can take this harness. It'll plug into here. But before you route anything around here, you're going to start by the floorboard and route your way up. So instead of zip tying on the outside of this little sheath, we're going to take off this plug. We're going to shove the wires inside the sheath. That way all the wires are inside this protective covering. And this will be the orientation of the wires. On the top side, it's going to be white, blue, red, black, pink. And this will not fit in that sheath. So first you need to remove this little white piece here. You can push this outward, and then you can take your de-pinning tool and you can carefully remove the wires from the plug. Just like that, all the wires are out. So now we can feed them through the sheath. Start by feeding a piece of thick wire through the sheath, and then you can tape on the wire ends, and then you can pull it through. And then you can put these back into the plug. It's gonna be white, blue, red, black, pink. And don't forget this little white piece. Make sure all 5 fit in there. And it goes a little bit more. You can see this end right here. It needs to go all the way to the end there. Just like that, it's locked in. So now you can clean up all of your wiring. I like to zip tie the wires together. That way I don't have wires flopping around under the door panel. Now you can put the door panel back on. Make sure you plug in any plugs that are on the back side of the door. You can pry it backwards a little bit and shove the top in. Once it's down all the way, what I'm gonna be doing is looking at this little plug right here, making sure that's level. Then I can see this one right here. Make sure that's gonna go right in. So it looks like this one needs to go down a little bit more. Like that. So then they should all work their way in. Now you can screw the door panel back in. The back side goes in first, then the front will pop in. On all of these screws, I like to hand tighten them. You can fit in this piece, and this is the last piece on this door. It'll snap straight in. And there we go. I like the way this turned out. It is on the inside, so it is protected from me kicking it. Next, we'll be wiring this. Before we do that, we're gonna go onto the other side and install the mirror on the other door. So now it's time to work on the passenger side. Same thing with this door. You can start by prying this piece out of here. Remove this bolt, remove these two, pry this piece off, take this handle out, and you can start prying around the edge. You can check in here, make sure all these clips are undone. There's a couple of the top ones. You want to make sure this is pried far enough away from the door before you start lifting it up. These couple bottom ones here are a little tough to get. This takes a lot of force. Now you can pry up. Undo the wiring and set this aside. For some reason, both of my doors had this blue wire cut, and it was cut up here, and then it looks like the blue wire was attached to this little plug, brought around, and was tied in up above the plug. I'm not sure why, so I'm gonna de-pin this and just attach this white wire to this bottom side of the plug. This part will stay at the door, this part will go with the mirror. Now we can tie the string to this plug, push that through, push this plug all the way in. Now we can unbolt the old mirror. Make sure you support it on the outside. You can gently pull your wire through, and you can untie the string. Make sure it doesn't get pulled all the way in. Now you can grab your new mirror. I recommend doing everything from inside the door. Grab your string, tie it to the new plug, and you can start to pull the string through. Gently pull all the wires through. And now you can install the mirror while pulling the rest of the wire through. I found this easier doing while standing inside the door. You can tighten the mirror down. Depending on what your Jeep you have, your plugs might be a little different. Now it's time to plug in the harness from the new mirror. But before you do that, there's this little blue piece on the end of this plug. Don't mess up like I did. Make sure it's flush with this other side. So you take a little screwdriver and you push it in, and that locks everything in, and that'll allow you to lock this plug. So now it should snap in nice and easily. There it is. And this is the extra plug. This one's for the lights and the turn signals. So you can plug this end in here. But this end, we're gonna be taking off just like we did on the driver's side. And then we'll feed it through this sheath, that way it's protected. Again, you will need one of these de-pinning tools, and I can put a link in the video description of one you can get from Amazon. I'm shoving it in almost perpendicular. I'm not going flat like this, I'm going perpendicular. Just like that. And take your ends, be careful with all this. So now you can tape the end of the wires to the hard wire that's going through the sheath, and you can pull the wires through the sheath. Now it's time to repin this plug. You can compare it to this plug up here. On the top side, it's gonna be white, blue, red, black, pink. And it goes a little bit more. You can see this end right here. It needs to go all the way to the end there. Just like that, it's locked in. Now you can pull this to the same length. Before I do that, I'm gonna tape up this end just so it's a little more protected. You want these to be about the same length, maybe a little bit longer. And just like that, you can zip tie these together. And then now we can finish cleaning up the door wiring and putting the trim back on the door. So we'll zip tie all this together, and we'll put the trim on the door. Now you can put the trim back on. You already verified that the mirror works. Forget your connections that are on the door. Start with the top. But you want to make sure you have all your clips on. One of them fell off. I just realized I had one clip still on the door here. So make sure you check your clips. Make sure they're all removed. So if there's one that's not feeling like it's going in, pry back and look behind it. So make sure you just take a look if something doesn't feel right. So now you can screw all your screws back in. This part goes in first, and then the rest snaps in. So now that you've got this plug under here, there's gonna be a couple steps that are gonna be a little different for what you might do for your Jeep compared to what I do for mine. This is the strand of wire that's going to connect into this. And this is going to be what goes to your parking lamps and goes to your turn signals and your reversing lights. You're going to want to route those wires under the passenger side, and then up under the floorboard, there's going to be a rubber grommet up inside there. You're going to be able to feed the wires through. And then you'll need to take off your inner fender liner on the passenger side. You'll feed them up here, and you'll route the turn signal wires. And you're gonna tap into your front turn signals. You gotta do your front passenger, and then you will have to tap into the front driver. I'm gonna share the link right now to the video made by Boost Auto, and they go into full detail tapping into these. So now I'm gonna show you how I wired mine. So because of some lights that I had on my hardtop, I already had a turn signal from the front coming through this floorboard here. Ignore the fact that it looks like a nice big mess. So with this wiring harness right here, you can tap into the running lights and the reversing lights. I'll make sure to put these in the video description. The other thing that I did was I tapped into the interior lights. That way when I unlock the Jeep, these will do their startup sequence. So the other difference that I did is instead of routing all the wires from this side over to the passenger side and going into the engine bay, I routed the passenger side and actually went right below the windshield. You can squeeze back here, and I routed it into here. And then down the side, I have two switches here, forward facing lights and the reversing lights right here. Then it comes down the side. And then this is where I'm tapping into the running lights, and I'll tap into the reversing lights. And then I have my turn signals right here. So that was real easy wiring this if you already have the turn signals right here. They've got to be the front turn signals. And then the interior lights is just right up under there. If you're gonna tap it into the interior lights, you do need a little one-way diode. That way, the interior lights turn on the sequencing, but when you turn on the running lights, those don't turn on the interior lights. You need it to kind of go one way. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to me. You can get me on Instagram also if you want to direct message me, and I can explain more so how I did that. So we're just gonna button all this up, clean this up, and then we will go for a test drive and see how it all is, see how we like it. All right, let's go ahead and do a little bit of on-road driving with these mirrors. They are very nice. Nice and wide. I can really see all the traffic behind me. Got my dash cam here. I would say the installation was not terrible, really. It wasn't that bad. I already had access to most of my turn signal wiring, but the front turn signals, it's not hard to get to. Boost Auto does a great job in their installation video showing how to do that. But the way I had it, my wires are already right down here. That was super easy for me. Tapping into the reverse lights. And then also the way I wired it up with, turning on the lights when I do the keys. Love that. So stay tuned for the next video where I do an in-depth review of these mirrors, and I'll show you the lights at night, the forward lights, the reversing lights, and I'll show you how these turn signals look at night. And after having these mirrors and driving around for a couple weeks with them, I would definitely say these are a product that I would recommend. I'd recommend them to my friends. I'd recommend them to my family. I know they make different options for other vehicles, so you'll definitely have to check out Boost Auto if you're interested in upgrading your mirrors, and I'll make sure to put a link in the video description. And if you found this video helpful or useful in any way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.